All right, folks, so I told you so many schools out there are after our children's minds. It is up to us to push back. Thankfully, we know about the mama bears. There are papa bears out there, too, that have been fighting back against school districts. And sometimes the school districts need to do radical things to make change. Well, my next guest, her name is Leigh Wambsganss. She is with Political Action Committee called Patriot Action that was literally put in place to take back school boards locally where they are. They are associated with Patriot Mobile, our good friends over at patriotmobile.com. I urge you to go pay them a visit, patriotmobile.com. Support companies that support the things we do, right? But Leigh Wambsganss is here with the plan and how they took back these 4 school boards. I want to talk to her about it. Leigh, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Grant.
So, you know, this is an interesting story about Southlake Carroll, a very good school district here in Texas. I mean, the students typically rank at the top of the list as far as Texas students go. But Southlake Carroll now out of the Texas Association of School Boards. So people are probably watching saying, why are you talking about a local school district, you know, northwest of Dallas, when this is a national program? But this is a model many school districts can use. And why don't you tell me why this district says, hey, we're out when it comes to the Texas Association of School Boards?
Absolutely, Grant. To your first point, why talk about a local school district? Southlake specifically was one of the first districts to stand against the critical race theory. Parents in Southlake taught parents across America that you can be called a racist and you can be called a homophobe, knowing none of that is true and you can keep standing. And what it usually takes is the first person to stand for other people to have the courage to stand behind them. And so in 2020, Southlake Carroll was the first district to start speaking against critical race theory and the sexualization of children. And that bled into the 2021 elections, where Southlake Carroll made national news for having the highest voter turnout in the history of the city in their school board elections and winning those 2 seats. But one of the things that we've been telling folks across the country is none of this is one and done. For you to take over your school boards and to stay in control of your school boards, it is a never ending exercise. And so the reason this particular meeting Monday night, when Southlake Carroll voted to non-renew its membership with TASB, is because it's sending a message that there are other alternatives for school districts across Texas. There are other alternatives for school districts across the nation than giving your dollars to organizations that aren't looking out for your best interest as a school board, for your best interest as a district, and certainly not looking out for the best interest of the students that school boards have a fiduciary responsibility to serve.
Yeah. You know, I can't help but think that when they take this step, it is a big step to take, because I would imagine these school board associations have certain lobbying functions in Austin, the state capital. You've got to weigh all this to say, hey, you know what, we don't want to be associated with this. But this was also a school board association that took 8 months to denounce when the National School Board Association sent a letter to the Department of Justice basically calling you, Leigh, people like me, parents across the country, domestic terrorists for speaking up to their local school boards.
Absolutely. And that's actually one of the reasons in the Southlake Carroll ISD's resolution they gave for non-renewing their membership, that it took them 8 months to do this. And, you know, the First Amendment is so important, and everyone usually knows about the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom of the press. But one of the most important aspects of the First Amendment is the right for our citizens to address the government with our grievances. And that is something parents across the nation started doing. And when the National School Board Association sent a letter to President Biden in September of 2021, specifically asking President Biden to engage the Secret Service and the FBI and several other law enforcement agencies on the federal level to squash parents' First Amendment right to address their school boards in public comments with their grievances. It finally woke a lot of people up. Yeah. That's only one of the reasons that the Southlake Carroll district gave in their resolution. The other reasons were the woke training that TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards, was having. Just last September 2022, TASB held a large convention in San Antonio, Texas, and the audience in this convention is thousands. It includes school boards from across the state of Texas, and it includes superintendents, as well as high level administration in school districts across Texas. You know, Texas is a big state, so this is thousands of people. And the woke training and ideology used in that convention was simply unacceptable, from LGBTQ to literally training people how to sue their own school districts. This is an organization that school districts pay tax dollars into, who are training people to sue the school districts and encouraging that. It's really just unconscionable.
Now, they're training leftists, I guess, to sue school districts. I would certainly be all for conservative organizations training people to sue school districts on behalf of suing them for woke ideologies. So where were they falling on what they were trying to get people to sue for?
They specifically were focusing on the transgender and LGBTQ ideologies and encouraging that. And in fact, they were using Title IX. But most recently, we've had some really good rulings on what you can force teachers to do and what you can't. One of those issues is pronouns. And recent court rulings have said that it violates teachers' First Amendment rights to be forced to call a child by a pronoun that does not match their biological sex. Now, it doesn't force teachers to not use that. If a teacher wants to call a child by their preferred pronoun, they have the freedom to do that. But if a teacher, due to their religious convictions, is not comfortable calling a child by its preferred pronoun, anything other than its biological sex, you cannot force a teacher to do that. TASB and a lot of these woke organizations who really aren't looking out for the best interest of our teachers or our students seem to not be following Supreme Court precedent in this area.
Now, so this is all about Texas. Now, you're with Patriot Mobile. You talk about making sure that when a school district is giving money to an organization that they support your values. I mean, that's all what Patriot Mobile is about as well. I made the switch to Patriot Mobile as well. And it's about supporting people that believe in the same things that you believe in. This is a Texas issue. I would imagine the same situations going on across the country in certain states. Patriot Mobile's all across the country. Where else do you have your eyes on?
So, just so you know, Patriot Mobile LLC is a separate legal entity from Patriot Mobile Action, and I wear a lot of hats. I'm the chief communications officer for the company, Patriot Mobile. But about a year ago, 4 executives from Patriot Mobile, myself included, formed a separate legal entity with Patriot Mobile Action. And we focused on Tarrant County. We started out with 4 school districts. In our first year out in 2022, we won 11 races. And in those 11 races, what that means in those 4 school districts is those districts previous to May 2022 all had liberal majorities on their board. After we won those races, May 2022, all 4 districts had conservative majorities on their board. And what that means is we won the president, the vice president, and the secretary positions on those boards. And why that's important is those positions control the agenda and the direction of the school districts. The bigger picture there, what that means is over 100,000 students, North Texas students, who previously had woke leadership, after May 2022, now have conservative majorities. This is a lesson that needs to be taken throughout the country. And Texas has led the way. And just to give you an example, in 2021, before I was even with Patriot Mobile, we won our 70-30 victory that made national news just because of all the negative news hits. And that was on a Saturday night. And I took Sunday off. And Monday, I woke up and pulled up my email. This was the Southlake Families Political Action Committee. And I had over 1,000 emails from people across the country begging me to train them on how to take over their school districts. One man called me in tears from California, telling me the stories of what's happened to his teenage daughter in California schools. So people across the country are looking for leadership. They're looking for a blueprint. And I have to tell you that it's not easy. It takes a lot of work, and it's non-paid grassroots activism that's going to win the day. But I think our children are worth it.
Is there a way for other school districts to figure out the model you use to take over these 4 school districts and for you to help them?
Absolutely, and I've been doing that. I spend hundreds of hours training people on the phone. I don't publish a blueprint because I don't want the leftist folks to use my tools. That would be like your football coach on the other team handing you their plays. So I don't want to oversimplify it because we're talking about kids' lives. We're talking about endangering children with the gender dysphoria, with so many harmful ideologies, whether it be the critical race theory, telling white kids that they're inherent racist at birth, and telling children of color that because of the color of their skin they are less than. This is harmful to do to children. It's divisive, and it is a tool. I'm just telling you, this is more than political warfare. This is spiritual warfare. This is an evil tool meant to divide and harm children.
Yeah, I do believe we are under a satanic attack in America today, and it is imperative that we all push back against it. You guys are doing that at Patriot Action. Patriot Mobile, of course, is a great company that I support as well, and really are steadfast in the values that I believe in, and I know Stinchfield's Army believes in as well. Leigh Wambsganss, it's great having you on the program. As always, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Grant.
All right, absolutely.